Hey, thanks for coming by. I got some kind of interesting thing to show you today, I think. It depends, it depends if you're into this tinkering stuff. Okay, so you might be aware of it messing around with these OBD2 dongles, right? And basically, this is just connected, right? This would be your car. Somewhere in your car, you would have something like that. Now, I have a CAN network right on my desk. Oh, geez, I don't want that to. Actually, this is not crucial, but I'm just that kind of guy. All right, so I have this. Basically, these three things here. Like, this is a CAN interface. This is a little computer controlling the CAN interface. This is a monitor showing me what's going on. Right. So basically, I have like this CAN network on my desktop. I have one device here. It's really a monitor, but it's a CAN device. And then, of course, this you can. Where am I pointing at? I don't know what I'm looking at. This right here, you could consider a CAN device, right? So we know typically you say, oh, that goes in a car, but let's just, for the argument sake today, we'll just call this a CAN device. Or actually, maybe that's just stupid. We'll just call it whatever you want. Call it a ham sandwich. All right, I shut the light off because I just wanted you to see what hardware I had, because I want to show you an app that I wrote, and it's all centered around CAN, right? It really has little OBD2. It has some OBD2, right? Because that's kind of what we're interested in. But I'm trying to learn and figure out what's going on here. Come on. I'm trying to figure out and learn. Let me see, which one of these am I opening? I'm going blind, and I never put on glasses. Which one is the right one? Is that the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. Okay. All right, so this is the OBD2 CAN interface, right? So check it out, right? This crazy looking UI over here. What is my camera's all canted? Okay, on the left, what we got over here is basically Linux, right? So I have Linux, and it's basically hooked up to the network through a CAN, right? So we got my phone basically represents the dongle, and the thing on the left is just like this thing, right? Okay, so one of the interesting things about the CAN network is that it's basically pretty simple. There's basically two parts of it. You have an address and you have data. Now I know out on the internet I've seen there for some Hondas and some Volkswagens and some Toyotas that you can find these codes like to lock and unlock the doors. And basically it's what this stuff is. You'll find that it's like it'll be OX7, whatever the address is, and then a number of bytes, which you specify here. Oops. Okay, so, but don't think of this as so much of an OBD2 device as a generic CAN device. And let me give you a sense of what that means. Basically, CAN network is just a way of sending data across the network. So what I'm doing is I'm initializing. I think I have the wrong, right? I am not set up. I keep doing this to myself. All right, now, come over here, and then I'm going to init, and I'm not going to show you, but you know the dongles over there. Its lights are blinking and everything. There goes our new LED, right? You see the new LED over here. Anyway. So over on the left, over on the Linux box, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this thing to monitor. Basically, that's CAN dump, and it's just monitoring everything. So let me send out just whatever's here out, and I'm expecting it to make it out to that module. Ooh, bus init error. What happened there? Ooh, look at that. Okay, so basically what's going on here is this thing is running it at a specific, it's actually running, right? If you look in the ELM, there's like 90 things to say, and you got to forgive me if I can't figure out what I'm talking about, like which to start first, but these are all listed as protocols in ELM 327, right? So you can specify these specifically. If you're actually trying to talk to your car, you want to select auto, because that's what is actually behind the scenes of the app, the other app that I have. It is set to auto. Now let me show you something here. I'm going to show you a video. This is me in my pickup truck, and basically what I'm doing is I am getting data back from, I'm sending in a PID. The OBD2 PIDs, if you go to Wikipedia, see that value? 0100, it's PID 01. PID, 70F is an address that apparently all the scan tools use, and if you send this data out on that address, you're basically a scan tool, right? So this is getting data back from my truck, sending out these codes, these basic codes to the truck. So this is a CAN device acting like a generic, like sort of a dumb scan tool, just because it's talking in a specific protocol on the CAN. So that was pretty cool. So where am I going? I'm not really sure what's going on here, what I'm trying to do, but okay. So when you say auto, it will initialize and look for like noise on the network. But the problem is this network here, I don't think that was going to work, because this network here does not have, let me try to send something. I think I'm going to get an error because there's no noise on this network. Oh, no, that's crap. I know for a fact that signal right there is crap. Yeah, see, it came back and said. So check this out. So I go over, look on my left side, right? I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to go call this thing called CAN-gen, right? So this right here, we can't see it, but it's generating noise on the network. So at this point, I expect that if I init, that this thing's going to be able to pick up what was on the network, and now if I send data, we should see this 0101 get sent. All right, so let's see what happens. Sending. Okay, the searching is what's sent back from the ELM 370, whatever that chip is. But basically, now that's random data that we got back. But I can tell now just the fact that we didn't get an error. All right, so no data, then nothing was returned. So right now, there's a lot of junk on the line. Now, what I can do now on the left side is I can now stop this random generate, because now my app has auto-sensed the network. Now I can listen on the network. And now if I send, now I can see the actual data. And actually I can come up here and I can change the address, which is going to be a 3-digit address. I allow you to put in more because, okay, let me not get into that, but you want to use 3 digits, and D is too high of a number. You can't go above 7. Anyway, let me just set that CAN ID. Now, setting the CAN ID is different than sending the data, right? Setting the CAN ID only happens when you click that. So now when I send, notice on the left side over here, the address now is the same as the address that we set to. Well, actually, it's 5F3. There's a reason, there's a filter on that third. It will never be above 7. And for bit reasons, it ends up being a 5. That's a whole other discussion. But basically, if you have the right address, it's going to work. I mean, it's going to be a valid address if you have something that you can try. But here's something interesting. Now I have this thing right, like on your car stereo, right? So let's say this data right here, I just want to remember it. So I just can hit memory 1, right? So now everything that's on the screen, it just remembers. It'll even remember that, up here, the CAN ID. But the CAN ID is not getting set. All he's doing here is remembering the data that I have. Now, let's take, for example, I have found a code for open and close door lock. Now, typically, it'll be like a 1 and a 0. So I may want to switch back and forth between 2 settings. Now, just looking at these values, don't worry if this changes. It just saves that, but it's irrelevant. But so if I want to send that value, and then I want to send that value, or that, so what you can see is that the 0 and the 1 over here are alternating, or whatever values, right? There could be other, see all these values? This is going to send 6 bytes now, send. Now you might have noticed over here that no matter what gets sent, it's always 8 bytes. Now, this is a whole other deal. This is like kind of a drilling into video, so this might get a little boring, but there's different protocols. This thing is set for the default protocol for a vehicle. Well, vehicles in the U.S. Now, what I'm going to do is I know that so I don't have to do the auto-generate stuff and play games with that. I'm just going to set it right. I know it's 11-bit 500 that I'm running at. So what happens is these settings set you up to initialize. So I'm going to initialize with no formatting, and that DLC is data length character. Now it's going to, whatever number of characters I send is actually going to get sent. So I'm going to initialize the device to these settings, to this protocol and to these settings. Now I'm just going to send the same 6 bytes and watch what happens. See what happened? Now it's just much more straightforward. You got a 6. Whoops, where's my finger? You get a 6, right? Because I send 6 bytes, and then you get 6 bytes straightforward. Where the line above it is the same data, but a different protocol, a different methodology for sending the data, which is to send 8 bytes all the time, but the first byte is dedicated to the count. So you're really only able to send 7 bytes. Now check this out. If I come over here in this mode, let me get rid of this 6 and change it to 8, right? Let's say I want to set, jeez, come on, baby. Let's say I want to set this to 8, right? That's the maximum. You can't set it to anything other than 0, I think, yeah, 0 to 8. And let me just put a value in here so we can track it and just see that it moves. Okay, so let's just send this. Did I send it? Send this across. Okay, there it is. You see, okay, so on the left side, that's what I said. It's just very straightforward. 8 bytes, exactly what you see, right? Now, watch what happens when, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinitialize back to the defaults. And this is what your car is typically initialized to. Now I'm going to try to send those same 8 bytes. And what it's going to do is going to tell me I can't. Basically, I can only send 7 bytes because that last byte is reserved for a count. Now, if I say 7 instead of 8, it'll send it no problem. Boom. Right? And notice how now this first value is the count. And let's just test that. Is it really the count? So let's put in a weird value like 3 and send. Yes. Okay. So we see that the value here is 3. So it follows. So what we got here is a weird protocol. And you can make the whole thing really confusing by taking away the formatting, right? And let's initialize it like that. And then you'll completely confound the system, because now if we send, right, we sent the 3 bytes, but over here we have no idea where they start or end. We don't even know that there were 3. Were there 3 sent? Were there 2? Were there 4 sent? Right? So you get, so these protocols, right? So this is pure CAN. We're doing CAN stuff here, right? So by setting these to the defaults like this is what a standard OBD2 CAN network apparently in a car is expecting to see, is this sort of protocol where that first digit is the count. Maybe not. I don't know. So I'm still learning, but what we have here is for sure the ability to send, the ability to, I'm like, my mind's back and forth, the ability to send data into the CAN network, and it's a pure CAN device. So you can just forget about OBD2 while you're running this. Now, if you want to go into OBD2, now, by the way, this value right here is the, if you can see that, this 7D right here, this is the actual CAN address of the dongle, the current CAN address. So if I set the CAN ID, right, it'll change to 5BO. And then, of course, if I send it over here on the left side, we'll see that that's the address of the thing being sent. The address, regardless of all these protocols, is what is sent along in the headers. So, and of course, we have our radio thing. So if you find a setting, that works for you, you may be able to do something. Now remember, this is just communication over the network, right? Some ECU somewhere, some type of processor has got to receive this information, like this thing over here. I could receive this information and filter it and say, oh, this means to turn a valve on or to shut something off, or these 3 bytes, you know. I can do all kinds of things like that. So just being able to communicate in the network doesn't really mean much. We still need to know what these codes will do. But here's the trick. Now we have the ability to actually send messages into the network and destroy everything. Well, you know, there's rules for guns and there's rules for software like this, and they're pretty much the same. Never point this software at any ECU you're not willing to destroy. Know your ECU and what's behind it. Never put your finger on the ECU until you're ready to pull the trigger. And what was the last one? Alright, I kind of lost track. I only think I got 3 of them. There's 4 of them. Oh, it's going to bother me. Alright, my mind's away. Alright, so anyways, there it is, man. Oh, a link is below. Feel free, have at it, man, but be careful. But you can construct one of these networks on you could actually get 2 of these dongles and 2 resistors and construct a network like this and actually have 2 phones, and you could actually oh no, I have to have a receiver. Right on the on my PC app, I have a I started working on the reception of the CAN, but there was no message sending. So the next step here is to create some sort of a monitor, a little bit of a sniffer with some filtering on it, right? So if we have in our app, right, of the ability to sniff out what's going on and the ability to you know, send messages back in, man, we can do some serious damage, right? All right, anyways. And we have presets so we can remember our destruction. One other thing I wanted to say, right? When you initialize, it resets this back to this 7FD. What's the significance of that? Significance of that is the that is the OBD2 diagnostic test address, apparently. Because if you go into your car, now remember here, I'm going to show you that video again. Now before I show you the video, check it out. Listen carefully. If you operate on this address, you're basically a OBD2 module. So the data that you send in is going to be exactly all those PIDs and stuff that you can find on Wikipedia and everything, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, and you know, the first bit and the second, and then what you get returned. Now, notice this is exactly what's happening in this video. I'll show it one more time, right? This video in my truck, right? At 7DF, the default address, I'm sending 0100. Notice that's the default value, and I have my 2 presets, 0100 and 0100, which is like, you know, just some PID. I don't even know what it is. But there's the answer, right? 41 is definitely an indicator that that's an OBD2 response. So this is a very generic app we have here, man. So this is really a tinkerer's tool. This is like a hacker's tool, man. This is not really, no normal person, right, is going to want to, this is like something that you gotta have a strong stomach for. All right, so we already talked. All right, so anyway, so there it is, man. This actually, I just have a whole web page for. I'm just gonna put the link down and go get it, download it, and have at it. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. Maybe I'll put it on. I don't see any other apps out there doing this. I see, you know, these other, you know, like this. Okay, let me stop to get this video. But you know, I was using this camera. I've seen videos where people are using this module board in the Raspberry or the Arduino, and basically they're running these wires up into the dashboard, and then they're having some kind of thing like this, and that's fine and good. But no, look, I don't even want to be running wires up to any CAN network in my car, right? But it's a lot easier if you can just plug this dongle into your car and sort of get even, you know what, I believe we can get even finer and better control of the can than any of the software I've seen out there. Because all the software I've seen out there is like this, right? It's all like blah, 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 right? And if you look at my other video on the PC app, even that, it's a little bit more finely controlled. Like you can really pin down and hone into one address and what's changing and not changing. Now, I forget what video it is, and I don't know if you're, maybe I'll make a link or not. I don't know. But we can do so much more than what's out there, man. So, but here, this is yours. This is in your hands, man. Just, you know, like I said about the guns and everything, you just got to be careful. People think guns are dangerous. There's much more dangerous things like software like this. All right, everybody. Ding, ding, go back to your corners. Everything's going to be all right. All right, look, hey, thanks a lot for coming by. You know, I hope this gives you some kind of like freedom or flexibility or some ability to do something, because this is really a very generic application here. There's other settings I could give access to. I mean, you know, like in the UI, but it's just like, man, it's like such a freaking, I don't know. I get to it. You know, it's like a tree, you know, like a plant. You know, how big is it going to grow? I don't know. You just keep watering it until something happens. Okay, so very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate every single one of you who have whatever, even that guy who suggests. And you know what? There was a guy who suggested, you know, when I burn out my car's ECU, that I should bring it to a real mechanic. And you know what? It's getting funny because I'm getting closer to that actual point. Kind of dismissed it when I heard it. Now I'm thinking, Anyway, so it's all good, right? We're all just here trying to deal with this stuff. All right, so anyway, great. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I hope you can download it and everything's cool if you feel like it. You know, if you don't feel like it, that's cool too. Everything's cool. Everything is good. Everything is right. All right, so thanks and have a great day.